Bob Terry. Welcome to Lost Treasures of the Old West. In this episode, we're going to highlight 4 very interesting lost treasures. The lost stolen gold that Sam Bass took off the Union Pacific Railroad. Then we're going to look at several wagon loads of disappearing dimes and a very mysterious stagecoach holed up in Idaho. And then we're going to look at a different kind of lost treasure that you just might have in your possession already. Up first is Sam Bass. After failing at several legitimate businesses, Sam Bass turned to a life of crime. He formed a gang and robbed the Union Pacific Railroad gold train from San Francisco, California. Bass and his men robbed the train on September 18, 1877 at Big Springs, Nebraska. They took $60,000 in gold, in $20 gold pieces. That's about 3,000 $20 gold pieces. Each of those gold pieces today is worth approximately $1,500 to $1,700 a piece. That would mean that treasure today would be worth approximately $5 million. This made Sam Bass a lot of money, so he decided to commit lots more robberies. But after lots of robberies, the gang never made more than $500 at a time on a single robbery. The gold train was by far the biggest robbery they ever committed. In 1878, the gang held up 2 stagecoaches and 4 trains within 25 miles of Dallas, Texas, and they became the object of a big manhunt from the Pinkertons and a special unit of the Texas Rangers. Bass managed to elude the Texas Rangers and the Pinkertons until one of his men, Jim Murphy, turned informant. Jim Murphy, one of Bass's gang members, had a very ailing father who was taken into custody by local law officials. The law officials made sure that Murphy got the message, and Murphy gave them some information. Well, Sam Bass and his gang went to Round Rock, Texas. They were looking at the Williamson County Bank. On July 19, 1878, there was a confrontation with them between a deputy William County sheriff named A.W. Grimes. When Grimes approached them and requested they surrender their sidearms, he was abruptly shot and killed. As Bass attempted to flee, there were several Texas Rangers at hand, and they shot Bass. He made it away from the scene, but he was found later in a pasture by a group of railroad workers, who quickly summoned the authorities. He was taken into custody, but the next day, after he was found, he died on July 21st, 1878, his 27th birthday. Now, a lot of Sam Bass's treasure has not been found. It's rumored buried somewhere around Denton, Texas. There's also rumors that he buried some around Springtown, Texas, and that some of it may very well be hidden in Round Rock, Texas, where Sam Bass is buried. Most of the gold that Sam Bass stole from the Union Pacific Railroad has never been accounted for. Coming up next, we're going to talk about 4 wagon loads of dimes that in 1907 left the Denver Mint headed for Phoenix, Arizona. Somewhere along the way, the wagons, the drivers, and the dimes all disappeared, never to be seen again. This story really starts with the predecessors of the Denver Mint. In 1858, Austin M. Clark, Milton E. Clark, and Emmanuel Henry Gruber founded a brokerage firm in Leavenworth, Kansas, and then established an office in Denver at the beginning of the Colorado Gold Rush. Their idea was to buy gold dust and transport the gold dust back east to the federal mints. But this created a huge transportation cost. So, the firm opened a private mint on July 25th of 1860. The mint opened in a 2-story brick building on the corner of Market and 16th Street, minting $10 gold pieces at the rate of 15 to 20 coins a minute. A private mint would save the transportation cost and provide a valuable source of local exchange. After 3 years of private coining, Clark, Gruber and Company sold their minting and refining business to Uncle Sam in 1862. Established by an act of Congress on April 21st, 1862, the United States Mint at Denver opened for business in late 1863 as a United States Assay Office. Their operations began in the facilities of the Clark Gruber and Company building that the government had purchased for $25,000. Unlike Clark Gruber and Company, though, the Denver plant performed no coinage of gold at first. One reason given by the director of the mint for the lack of coinage at Denver was the hostility of the Native American Indian tribes along the routes, and the Civil War, and bad white men along the trail. The gold nuggets and dust that were brought there by the miners from the surrounding area were accepted by the assay office for melting, assaying, and stamping of cast gold bars. The bars were then returned to their depositors as imparted bars, stamped with the weight and fineness of the gold. After years of this, there was a new hope for a branch of mint status when Congress provided for the establishment of a mint at Denver for gold and silver coin production. The site for the new mint at West Colfax and Delaware Streets was purchased on April 22, 1896, or around $60,000, and construction began in 1897. After a lot of delays, the new building was occupied on September 1st, 1904, but coin operations didn't begin until February 1st, 1906. About a year later, 4 wagon loads of dimes left Denver, Colorado for Phoenix, Arizona, and they had a treacherous route ahead of them. Now, these wagons were hauling freshly minted silver 1907 Barberhead dimes, and perhaps some 1907 quarters as well. Today, these dimes are very special, though over 4 million of them were struck from 90% silver and 10% copper, bearing the D of the Denver Mint. Only about a dozen of these dimes in decent shape are known to still be in existence today. If you were to locate just one of these dimes in pristine shape, it could very well bring over $1,000. Of course, it is possible that the wagon train met with foul play from bandits along the trail. The most common belief today is that perhaps because of foul weather or some other reason, the wagon train fell victim to the very treacherous trails along the Black Canyon. Now, Black Canyon is a breathtaking place. In some places, the canyon's 1,000 foot wide and over 2,000 foot deep. And it owes its name to the fact that parts of the canyon only receive about 30 minutes of sunlight per day. That is an amazing place. Now, there are a few theories of what happened to the dimes. Some folks think that the wagon drivers made a bargain amongst themselves and just decided to ride off with the dimes and keep them for themselves. Some folks think that they were set upon by outlaws that knew about the shipment. But if either one of those things would have happened, these dimes would have showed up in circulation, and the 1907 Barberhead dime is one of the rarest. So that seems very unlikely. There are also some rumors that a few years ago, some hikers in Black Canyon found the remains of a few wagons and a couple of gallons of these dimes spread out amongst the wreckage. Could be. But that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what's missing. So there's still a lot of dimes out there to find. Next up, we're going to talk about a very mysterious, not very well documented stagecoach robbery that happened in Idaho. In this tale, either $90,000 or $40,000 in newly minted gold coins, still in their wrappers, are reported to be stolen. Now, the area that this robbery was committed in is straight north from today's Arrow Rock Dam. This robbery is said to have taken place close to where Grimes and Moore Creek come together. 3 men stopped the stagecoach and relieved them of their strongbox. Now the guard on the stagecoach, it was his job to protect that money, and now he was furious. Now he saw the trail that the outlaws had taken, and he knew that trail very well, and he knew the country very well, and he knew that they could take that coach and get on a ridge overlooking the trail as it doubled back. Well, that's just exactly what they did. When he got on that trail, he took care of those outlaws. The guard shot 3 times. Before the outlaws could even have a chance to shoot back, he'd killed them. There was a problem, though. They got to the bodies. Gold wasn't there. Somewhere in that very short distance between the time the stagecoach was held up and under that ridge where the robbers were shot, the gold had come up missing. There are several stories about this, and it does not seem to have been well documented in any newspaper articles that can be found. There's rumors that it's buried in a cave on Rye Flats. Also, there's numerous caves and canyons along Grimes Creek Road. Literally just to the north of the entrance to the road is a cave along the cliffs. Rye Flats is now a tree farm, and it's owned and operated by the Bureau of Land Management. It would seem that the outlaws could not have had time enough to stray too far off the trail to stash the loot, if that indeed is what they did. Since the legend has it that the coins were newly minted and still in their wrappers, that would make one think that the stagecoach was headed north towards Idaho City. Since the coach driver was able to climb to the flats above the confluence of Grimes Creek and Moores Creek to shoot the robbers, it would seem that they headed towards Boise after the robbery and doubled back. The only real place for the robbers to climb up to the flats by horseback would have been on the old Adams Ranch Trail. That trail is about 2 miles south of the confluence. They would have probably rode off at a gallop with excessive weight on the horses, getting the horses winded, climbing the steep trail to the flats. There is lava rubble that they could have hid the loot in. The Adams Ranch Trail used to be a shortcut for those folks that were headed to Atlanta. It was still very visible several years ago, but now there's a dirt road cut through the heart of it. The trail used to drop off into Thorn Creek area. Now there's all kinds of theories of what happened to the gold. Some folks think that there was a partner somewhere on the trail that they met. They gave all the gold to that partner and planned on splitting it up later. That could be possible. Or that the gold's buried in one of the caves that's around there. A lot of people searched for it for a good while and never found it. Some folks think that the guard on the coach somehow hid the gold and kept it for himself, but that's hardly possible. That's a lot of gold to hide. And with a driver and passengers, how are you going to be secretive about something like that? Up next, we're going to talk about a different kind of treasure. We're not going to talk about a outlaw's stolen hidden gold or a lost silver mine, but we are going to talk about something that's very much a part of the Old West, and something that, depending on the condition it's in, could be worth a little bit of money all the way up to thousands and thousands of dollars. And this is something that could be hidden in your attic, or maybe even in the back of your closet, and you don't even know it. We're going to talk about Levi Strauss & Company blue jeans. Levi Strauss was born in Bavaria on February 26, 1829, to Hirsch Strauss and his second wife, Rebecca. Levi had 3 older brothers and 3 older sisters. In 1846, Levi and his sisters immigrated to New York, where they were met by his 2 older brothers who owned a New York wholesale dry goods business named J. Strauss Brother and Company, and young Levi soon began to learn this business trade himself. With the California gold rush on, Levi journeyed to San Francisco, California in 1853. hoping to make his fortune. And that he did, but not panning for gold. Levi established a wholesale dry goods business under his own name and served as the West Coast representative for the family's New York firm. Levi eventually renamed his company Levi Strauss & Company. Sometime in the early 1870s, Levi received a letter from one of his customers, a tailor named Jacob Davis out of Reno, Nevada. In his letter, Davis described the unique way he made pants for his customers through the use of rivets at points of strain. This made the pants last longer. Davis wanted to patent his new idea, but needed a business partner to get the idea off the ground. Levi was very interested in this idea, and a patent was granted to Jacob Davis and Levi Strauss & Company on May 20th, 1873. And this is when blue jeans were born. To begin with, these new pants were called waist overalls or overalls. The original company model number for these pants was the XX model, but in 1890, they were renamed the 501 model. These rugged trousers were very popular with miners and with cowboys. The Levi Strauss & Company business was growing in leaps and bounds, and Levi was a good businessman. He brought in his nephews to help with the business, and by the turn of the century, it was a very successful business. But in 1902, Levi Strauss passed away at the age of 73 years old. He never married, so he left his business to his four nephews, Jacob, Sigmund, Louis, and Abraham Stern, the sons of his sister Fanny and her husband David. At this time, Levi's fortune was estimated to be around $6 million. The brothers did well with the business. The whole world was going through some amazing changes in the early 1900s, and San Francisco was a busy place. By 1906, the San Francisco-based Levi Strauss & Company was a booming business with a huge demand for their clothing. The film footage you're seeing is actual footage of a very bustling 1906 San Francisco, California. The existence of this film footage is amazing, because this film footage was captured just days before disaster struck San Francisco in 1906. On April 18th at 5:12 a.m., San Francisco was changed forever. Now, the San Francisco earthquake of 1906 devastated the whole city, and in with that devastation was the Levi Strauss & Company buildings, everything, their furnishings, their archives, their records, their factory, everything was destroyed. The earthquake didn't get them, but the fire that lasted 3 days did. It destroyed all of it. San Francisco was in ruins. But not only was the Levi Strauss & Company business so stable that it could recover, but they also loaned money to other merchants and helped other merchants get back in business as well. As the new century advanced, they continued to grow. By the 1930s, Levi Strauss & Company realized that there was a market that was largely being ignored, and they could probably double their business by marketing Levi's to the ladies. And even Hollywood realized that a pair of Levi's could be a very important part of a wardrobe. Now, with the Hollywood cowboys wearing Levi's, Levi Strauss & Company didn't take long to launch an advertising campaign to cash in on this rugged, romantic image of the West. Because of the extreme popularity of Levi's products, even Levi's advertising memorabilia has become highly collectible. Levi Strauss & Company invented blue jeans. And blue jeans have not only become a staple of America, but of the whole world. So, as a result, vintage Levi Strauss & Company products have become extremely valuable. And the most valuable are the ones that are the oldest, the rarest, and in the best condition. In 2008, while exploring a Rand mining district mine in the Mojave Desert, a pair of Levi trousers were discovered in a mine shaft. They were found next to a paper bag bearing the name of a local shop frequented by miners, which stopped trading in 1898. These ancient Levi's were quite a discovery, since Levi Strauss & Company didn't even have a pair this old, because of the San Francisco earthquake. The owner, while exploring the mine, was hoping to find something of value, and he did find something of value. An old pair of Levi jeans. He put them on an online auction, and these Levi's sold for over $17,000. These Levi's are in pretty good shape, but there's no telling how much a pair of this age in brand new condition would be worth today. In 2003, Levi Strauss & Company closed their last remaining American manufacturing plants, thus ending an American tradition that had been in place since the 1850s. As a result, anything made by the Levi Strauss & Company that bears the Made in USA label has become much more valuable. For instance, if you were to locate a pair of Levi's that are brand new old stock, still with the manufacturer's labels and all the tags still on them, and they were made as late as the 1960s, they're worth well over $1,000. Thank you for joining us for Lost Treasures of the Old West, where we're here to tell you about lost treasures that are waiting out there to be found by someone, maybe by you. I'm Bob Terry. Have a great day, and we hope to see you again on Down the Trail.